Well, since I'm like representing both American and Japanese, I think I have a lot of things to say.
Okay. Like what?
Let's get started.
Okay. Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about cultural differences between Japan and America.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we have a full Japanese person here, my wife. This is Yoko Chock. Say hi.
Hi.
And then we have Israel Blevins, half.
Half American Japanese. Let's go.
And then we're talking, like I said, we're talking about cultural differences between Japan and America.
Yeah.
I have never been to Japan personally.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I freaking lame. What
Yeah.
a loser.
Racist.
But obviously, both born in Japan.
Yeah.
You were born in Japan.
Yeah.
In where? Tell everybody where you're from.
Okay, so I was born and raised in this city called Sapporo.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place from Hokkaido, which is a prefecture, one of the prefecture in Japan. It's the very north part of Japan. A lot of snow, a lot of nature. It's like Oregon here, yeah.
I was born in Saitama Prefecture and raised in Aichi Prefecture. And yeah, I was born and raised in Japan.
Ooh. Wow.
And I'm from America.
Yeah.
Hawaii. Even though some people don't consider Hawaii as a part of America.
People say where do you go to like in vacation? Like, I went to Hawaii and also I went to America.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing. We're the 50th state.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we're gonna go through some topics.
Let's go.
Okay, so let's talk about tipping in Japan.
Tipping?
Tipping. So
No
tipping.
tipping.
So in America, when you go to a restaurant or something like that, like you eat your food, you get served, and even like when you go to fast food restaurants, they have like a tipping option on something.
That's
like
true.
the machine or whatever you're paying on.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about, it doesn't matter who goes first or you guys chime in, whatever.
You
But
can do it. You can
talk
go
about
first.
the tipping in Japan. So
Hi.
Yeah, you.
どうぞ.
Me?
Hi.
Well, for me, I mean, like we said at the beginning, we don't tip in Japan.
yeah, why? Do you know why?
I think it's disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
Some people say that
Yeah.
because
I've never heard.
I don't know the reason why they think that like that, but we don't do that. And actually, maybe I experienced that 2 times in my life.
Being tipped in
being
Japan.
Tipped,
Yeah.
meaning like
Somebody
keep
giving you.
the change kind of thing.
Oh,
that's
okay,
cool.
okay.
Yeah, so there's like one old lady. I was working at this coffee shop, like I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and I think she had like a change, which was like 30, 40 yen, like 30 cents, 40 cents, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she didn't want to receive it. It was like she didn't want to pack her wallet with coins.
Yeah.
That's why she's like, oh, keep the change. And for me, like I know that the culture in America, you get tips and everything like that. But in Japan, you don't. That's like a normal culture.
Yeah.
So I received it. I mean, I first like 2 or 3 times I say like, oh no, it's not my money, it's your money. It's like you keep it or blah. But she's like, no, I don't want it. Like please keep it. So I kept it. But I just went to my manager and I said I received this money, the change from the customer, and what should I do with it? And he's like, okay, I'm just gonna keep it. I think she didn't keep it for himself, but I think he maybe added to the I don't know, the sales for the store. I'm not sure what he did with it, but both of the times I don't remember the second one, but I'm pretty sure I received a change as well. But both of the time I didn't keep it for myself. I just give it to my manager. So yeah, just back to the point, it's not normal to tip someone else. Yeah.
So you feel like it was, well, the way Japanese people perceive tipping is disrespectful?
Well, I don't feel like that, but a couple of my friends, they said that, yeah. So.
What about you?
I've never thought about tipping as disrespectful. I mean, I would love to receive that,
True.
but I will be confused. Like I wouldn't know what to do with that money that I received.
Yeah.
If I receive.
Right.
So
right,
I
right,
would
right,
do the same thing as Isu. Maybe I will ask manager or my boss, like, oh, what to do with this money? Like, what should I do? And then, yeah, maybe I feel like the boss wouldn't say, oh, you can keep it. They count the money.
It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they put some
That's
money from that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they use
Maybe,
it, but
yeah.
maybe. Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure somebody's done that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because sometimes when we close the store and then if it's not like equal, maybe boss will pay add some money. Like it's kind of
Sure,
like
okay, yeah.
culture.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but tipping in the U.S., I've been struggling. I want to be generous with money and generous to people, but I don't really tip if I don't receive any service. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would feel, especially that people that work in the service industry, like they work as servers, they work as somebody that is serving somebody.
Yeah.
And that's essentially a part of their pay.
Yeah.
And then some people feel like, oh, you're stealing from me because, and I don't know if that's like the whole like American culture, but the way I think of it is like, okay, if I didn't receive good service, it almost feels like you shouldn't receive a tip. You're still getting paid for your hourly.
Yeah, like minimum.
Yeah, whatever that pay is. The tip is extra.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's hard to say because I haven't worked in the tipping service very long. I received tips when I was working at the bar and all that stuff. But other than that, I mean, I was working jobs that didn't really have any sort of tips. So a lot of people, I mean, I've seen so many different arguments about people like, oh, they don't tip. Like, I don't want to go to the restaurant with them, or like, oh, it's almost like you're stealing my money. And I get it. I understand that there is a point where it's like, oh shoot, you serve this table or whatever for the whole night, and then they don't give you like, I guess, what you deserve. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, it's kind of like a fine line because there's a few people that I know that really feel like you should tip.
Yeah, there's a lot of good
right?
workers.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there's people like, oh, you shouldn't tip them. They're not doing good stuff with that money, or they're not, like, they're almost like they say like they're not deserving of that money. And I understand both sides, so it's hard for me to be like, oh, you know, I like kind of like what you were saying, like I want to be generous, but sometimes it feels like, wait, why am I tipping you this money? Like, there should be
some kind of action.
Like there should be action, right? And it's
a service.
It's almost like, if you did a bad job, you expect to you expect to get paid more. I don't understand that. So that's my thing.
Even though like if they make mistakes, you know, the server. And like if they spill some like drinks, if they like miss the order, but if they're like, you know, always smiling and like apologizing and like
if they still give good service, like I mean, of course, that's
even they like, for example, in the opposite way, even though they perfect order, like everything was like super good, but if they like kind of rude the way they talk, then I think I don't want to give a tip.
No.
And it's hard because, to be honest, people are probably offended by that. Like, people will probably listen to this and be like, oh shoot, like, you don't want to give tip. And I get that, I understand. But then you both come from a culture that doesn't do that at all, and then the Japanese culture is so like, oh, we gotta put on our best face, and they're not even expecting tips. Like, that's not even a thing that you're thinking about, right? Like, wherever you work at some coffee shop, or you work at some fast food restaurants, whatever you're working at, like, they're not thinking like, oh, if I give this person a smile, or if I do a good job, I'll get extra money. I feel like that's like I don't know, it's like an entitlement thing. I feel like that mindset. not necessarily tipping in America, but that mindset of like, oh, I gotta do, if I do extra, then they have to tip me.
Yeah.
And some people expect that,
Mhm.
or like
Yeah.
think about that. So yeah, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But you guys have anything else to say about that?
Well, I mean, I'm not against tipping. Actually, I want.
Yeah.
Receiving is nice.
Like,
I mean, I would love to.
Difficult, I think, to have that culture in Japan.
Yeah, it's gonna be different.
Yeah, because everybody is nice there, kind of.
Mm.
I think.
What is
And
that?
it's kind of hard, you know,
Yeah.
like, and I think, like, I don't know, maybe they will give you a lot of tips. I'm not sure.
I have
Like
no
here, there's like for example, when I go to like a coffee shop,
Mm-hmm.
there are like options, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like no tip, 15, 10, 15, like
Yeah.
20, 25, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you can choose a tip.
Right.
And like even though there's no tip
Mhm.
on the screen, it feels like you're kind of forcing the
Exactly.
customer.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I feel. Yeah.
And I think that's like not a marketing thing, but it's kind of,
Psychological.
it's like, oh, if you give people the option, they'll feel like they have to.
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad when I choose no tip
Mm.
when I go to coffee shop.
Yeah.
Like they're like, "Hey, what can I do? Like, what can I
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you?
how can I help you?"
It's not,
And then they just take order,
Mhm.
and then they don't have service.
Yeah.
And then having tip, no tip, 10%, 20%, and then I'm like, I don't give you this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think
don't know.
that like the American expectation shouldn't be, if I like, it shouldn't be like, oh, if I do extra stuff, I get more money.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It should. I don't think that should be the expectation.
Yeah.
Like as out of the customers,
Yeah.
I think what people should be like thinking is like, I'm gonna do a good job, and if they tip me, they tip me. That's awesome. If they don't tip me, that's whatever.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay. And I think a lot of people think that way of like, oh, if I do this extra thing,
Mhm.
like then, oh, I'll get more money,
Yeah.
which in a way kind of is together.
Hmm.
But yeah, of course, like I do want to be generous, but at the same time, sometimes I feel like, oh, I don't
Mhm.
really,
Mhm.
Hmm.
I don't have an extra $1 to give you. Sorry,
Yeah.
or like it feels like that. I don't know. But yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Give me a tip.